How's it going, guys? This is gonna be the leader montage, boomer version, and this is for the folks who watched the zoomer version and saw there's a lot of really interesting clips, but it was going way too fast for their brain to interpret because they're boomers. So this version, we're gonna go through all the highlights in the montage, but a lot slower. We're gonna explain the thought process, which enabled us to play the leader effectively. So all these highlights come from playing one deck, and that is the Leader Sandman Ramp deck. I have a guide that you can click on right here, and you can go ahead and try this deck out yourself. But essentially it's a Sandman Ramp deck with a couple modifications. One of them was I don't have Magneto, so I replaced it with Leader, and it's actually been working out very well. Alright, let's dive right into it. Let's go through some highlights. Alright, I think we already showed this highlight a couple days ago because Camo Panda came by on the stream. I wanted to show him the highlight. So he plays Magneto into Clintar, dragging a card away from Nidavellir. Oh, we played Dr. Doom. Now. Oh, so far, this version of the Leader Sandman deck that I have ran Claw. So I'm gonna hide that because this is not updated. It ran Claw on turn 5. I don't remember the other cards in this version, but eventually I removed Claw because it was a little bit too redundant with the Dr. Doom and Odin play. And you often 10 power on turn 5 is not strong enough when you can play 15 power on turn 5 instead. So in this situation, it worked out well for us though. Because what do we have? We have kind of the ingredients set up for a leader. We're winning by 2 power in Clintar, and we're winning 5 power in Plunder's Castle. They're playing Thanos. But anyways, we have to think, well, what's next, right? Should we play into Plunder's Castle, or should we play into Clintar? Well, there's only one play here. Well, 2 plays technically. We can play Chavez in Plunder's Castle or Chavez in Clintar, or we can play Leader in Nidavellir. So I think. And I realized something about Plunder's Castle. Psychologically, only cards that cost 6 can be played here. Psychologically, he knows that we are playing Sandman into the Dr. Doom and Odin, and he knows that this deck of mine often has 6-drops, because that's the whole point. You ramp so you can play 2 6-drops. And it seems much more intimidating to challenge the Sandman player on their own playing ground, the Plunder's Castle. So more often than not, they're gonna want to play into Clintar. Camo Panda is playing into Clintar, the location that they're only losing by two cards by. So yeah. We play She-Hulk. He was played She-Hulk in Timestone. Adds 11 power. And he like emoted the leader. He was like, oh shit. By the way, this is before Thanos got nerfed. So his stones with Quintjet are discounted. Of course, there's no Quintjet just yet. So yeah, let's go ahead and see what happens. Jubilee into Wave. Incredibly lucky for us. Now, he played Kingpin, and pay attention to this because it'll come back in the future. And what do we have right here? This is literally the perfect leader setup. We're losing in one lane, we're winning in the middle, and furthermore, he only has 1 card in the middle. Which means almost always people are going to play into the location that has less cards, because especially since it's turn 4. and he plays Leech. We copy his Leech, and this is why this clip made it into the montage, because I was able to Leech leader, like, you know, like the old days. This guy plays Kang to Daredevil, which actually is it looks dumb, but it's because he top decked Kang, and when the turn resets, he's gonna be able to draw an extra card. Let's go ahead and fast forward through the Kang animations, and of course there's a bug. I was worried for a second that the bug sometimes doesn't allow you to, you know, actually play the game. Locks you out, but I was able to reconnect. So one thing I'd like to mention is, of course, we are losing Sakaar by 1 power. He's got this location on lockdown. And what his goal is going to be for the rest of the game is to, obviously, lock down the last location. Central Park. How does he do it? Well, he gets 2 turns to play cards, and this is a turn that he plays only a single card. When we are playing a card, either in Triskelion or Central Park, we're going to be closing out our the last location, the last card available for the location, and it's always going to be where he targets on turn 6, where he targets his final push to winning that last lane, right? So there's a very, very deliberate decision that I do, that I give him the answer. I play our biggest 5-drop card, which is a Sandman for 5 power, into Central Park, and the only reason why I did that was because I was looking at what I could have top decked, and what I can top deck is Arrow, and we draw it. We draw Arrow, and remember that Kingpin that came from the Triskelion earlier? We've got all the things set up. We're going to be playing Arrow into Triskelion, and almost always, he's going to be playing his final big drop in Central Park. Now, another thing. It's like, why did he knows that this deck runs Arrow, right? Why did he play his big card in the middle? And it's because, like, we both leeched each other. I've been top decking. So I top deck Sandman. He knows I'm top decking. Of course, I just so happened to top deck my Sandman and then my Arrow. We don't know what got killed, but whatever it was, it would have been something like a Chavez or something. I don't actually remember what happens here. So he's only played a Carnage. And of course, we want to go with the most flexible play. Let's play Dr. Doom here. They're always going to play into Stark Tower because that's where the effect is. And what we're essentially trying to do here is we need to set up the board in such a way that leader is going to win us the game. He plays a card there. We play Electro. He plays Wave. Oh, okay. This is perfect. This is perfect. The perfect ingredients are set up. You are winning in 2 lanes, losing in 1. This board state. Notice that even though leader looks like it's going to win us the game, they can still win. If they play into Murder World and Stark Tower, they win the game. And the opponent snaps us, because they're like, oh, this guy can only play 1 card. But what do we know? What do we know? They're going to play 2 cards. We have Initiative. And rather than playing into Stark Tower and Murder World, which is the anti-leader play, they are always going to play their 2 cards into the 2 lanes that they're losing. And they should be able to win with this, right? I think this is actually quite an odd snap on their part. But we play leader. And we win. And this is an 8-cube game. He boomer snapped us. He calculated out the Odin, and he was like, yeah, I can beat this guy. Of course, what he didn't calculate is what happens if we just play leader. Nobody plays around leader these days. He knew that in the sewer system, he would have 9 power, and if we played Odin in Dr. Doom, in the Dr. Doom lane, then we'll only have 8 power in Sewer System because cards have -1 power here. So this play that he played, Arrow and She-Hulk, it is to play against the most predictable play on Earth, Doctor Doom and Odin. But this is where Leader comes in as a wild card, an ace in the sleeve. You play Leader instead, and you game over. 8 cubes. Never thought Leader would win against Arrow, yeah. You need to have initiative though. That's one thing you have to be very careful about. Have initiative. Alright. This game also before patch. This game was actually during one of the first games that I played using the Sandman ramp deck. This was recorded early in March. Now, turn 3, we were able to play our Claw because we had a turn 2 Electro, so we are looking pretty good. We can start dominating the location miniaturized lab, and he has to start playing cards into his super flow. Now, one thing that I'd like to point out, we've seen Zero Armor, Cosmo, and Titania. Of course, this is going to be a Shuri deck list. This is turn 4, and what do we have? We have potentially a Shuri coming up, right? So we play Leader and we whiff because like it's turn 4 and he could have played Shuri, and if he plays Shuri in Superflow, then we don't get to copy it. However, we want to play Leader as a tempo play, and we have the follow-up of Odin. So my plan was that he was gonna play Shuri in Superflow, and he was gonna create a 30 power Red Skull and Xandar. So what do? We first play Leader to set it up, and then we play Odin to copy the Red Skull. Leader, however, whiffs, as you saw in the montage, but we don't really care because we've got our Odin. And this for sure is not going to miss. Let's just speed this forward, and we copy his Red Skull. Surprise, surprise. Of course, at this point, the game's pretty much over. He has to play a Taskmaster, massive Taskmaster in Superflow. He has to then play some 1-drop in Xandar, but however, he's already played his Zero, he's already played Titania. There's no way for him to catch up. So as we're thinking through all the combinations of ways to not lose, he just forfeits. Alright, that's the Leader whiff into a Leader home run, or Odin home run. The 1-2 punch. Alright, I'm actually really curious what this highlight's about. We play Kang, and we see that we get leeched on turn 4. Of course it's a turn 4 leech. Frickin' OP as hell. So what do? Well, we top decked our King, we played it, and now we drew a Sandman. And against Thanos Lockjaw, you have to deny them from being able to play a bajillion cards into Lockjaw. So you do the next best thing, you play Sandman. And you just kind of hope for the best. Okay, play Leech. I play Sandman. Now. Pause. So, we top deck Leader. Now, ultimately, our goal. We know that they're gonna play something probably into Lockjaw, but our goal is to make sure we are winning in 2 lanes and losing and winning in Lechugia on turn 6. So that way we can play Leader and copy their card in Lechugia. And it's actually so great that we've got Lechugia on the board because it actually makes it very predictable how they're going to play their cards. They're gonna either play left or they're gonna play right. And more often than not, they're going to be playing left because they don't want to play into the lottery that is Elysium. Do they want to play they got 1 card a turn because we played Sandman. Do they want to play a stone into Lockjaw only to get another stone? No. Do they want to play something into Lechugia? honestly, they probably have 2 cards in their hand that they could play on turn 5, and then on turn 6, they could easily play into Luchigia, but it's not natural. So you should always expect that that they're gonna play into Nova Roma on this turn. And guess what? We got leeched, but we're gonna snap this dude. We're gonna snap those turn 4 leechers, those dirty players. And he doesn't retreat, obviously, because he's Lockjaw Thanos, and it's all against all odds. It's us against them. But I think for a moment, where should I play my Odin? And I realize, yeah, this whole thing with Lockjaw, are they gonna take the gamble, play something into Lockjaw? No, they're gonna play probably their biggest card. Oh wait, I decided to play Leader here. Oh shit, I copied it. Okay, I actually forgot this is what I did. So anyways, I played Leader on turn 5, and he instantly retreats. Victory. And, I guess, I don't even remember. This was a while ago. Why did I play Leader on turn 5? I think, so I mentioned that he most likely already had his turn 5 and turn 6 play thought out. He doesn't actually need to avoid Lechugia. And so this Leader play is basically a shot in the dark. It's a guess that they're gonna play into Lechugia this turn. But snapping them and then playing Leader as a guess into the darkness, that takes some massive, big brains. And Elysium actually means that they can play Thanos into on this turn also. Zamu, Sumunara, why would they play into Luchigia on turn 5? They are kind of giving up right by playing into it. So one thing is, each of us is only playing 1 card a turn. We have Sandman on the board, and because they have Lockjaw, there's no way they're gonna play their 1 card into the Lockjaw lottery. Like, they already have a game plan to play a big drop on turn 5 and a big drop on turn 6. We Giga Chad him, we get leeched on turn 4, we snap him on turn 5, and we Leader his devil fucking dinosaur on turn 5. And he retreats on turn 4. He's like, this Giga Chad's too Giga Chad. I gotta retreat. Alright. Kachenhaas. I think this is a really interesting game. So this is a good example of, this is turn 4. We don't have a turn 5 play. So we want to play our Jubilee. Thin out our deck, increase our chances of getting Dr. Doom, and we get him anyway. So the decision to play Jubilee and Elysium versus Washington DC. Of course, Doombots are better. Doombots are better to be played in Washington DC because of the effect. But I specifically play Jubilee middle anyway, because first off, it's not guaranteed that you hit Dr. Doom, but second of all, you'll have enough space to re-trigger Jubilee with Odin. Since I already have a Sandman and Elysium, if I play Jubilee, when Odin re-triggers Dr. Doom, if they were in Elysium, Jubilee doesn't actually get re-triggered, because there's no space left. Anyways, he snaps us, and I'm like, what's he up to? This is the perfect time to use Kang. And we see he passes his turn. So, we are playing again. Let's look at this guy's deck. He has Khazar, he has Quinjet, and so he's Zoo, right? He's a variant of Zoo, and somehow his play when the Sandman is on the board is to frickin' pass his turn. And instantly, I'm like, okay. What is his plan? He thinks the game is over. There's no way that I can win Monster Metropolis because Sunspot's gonna get huge, right? And if he passes his turn, then it's surely going to be an INFINAUT, right? Now, this is where your brain has to start thinking. If he's going to play an INFINAUT, we have to encourage him to play INFINAUT in Washington, D.C. as much as we can. And how do we do that? We need to make sure that we pile on as much power into Elysium as we can. That way, if he puts INFINAUT into Elysium, 27 power, he still has a chance to lose the game because we can put something, let's just say, a Magneto or a Hulk, for example. And that 20 power from INFINAUT is not going to be enough. So we encourage him to play his INFINAUT middle, and we leave up the middle of the lane. And camera, if you do look, Elysium, I mean, not Elysium, Sandman. I have Sandman on the board, so he can only play one card. If he passes his turn, it's 100% of the time going to be INFINAUT in the middle. And so, all the ingredients are set up. We're winning in 2 locations, and we capture his INFINAUT. Let's think about this board state. We've got our first key ingredient, Ebony Maw on the right lane, Sunspot with Ebony Maw. That's incredibly hard to contest. However, we saw that he played a Nova, Thanos Lockjaw deck, which 100% means a Killmonger is coming. He clears the board. He kills wipes the whole board away. And this is a perfect example of earlier I mentioned about the Sandman deck. There is a fair chance, a 20% chance that you are unable to ramp with Electro and Wave by turn 3. And so Jubilee is a turn 4 play. It's a catch-all, a Desperado play when you miss your ramp. And well, we hit Electro, which is, you know, not the worst thing to hit, right? This is turn 5, and we are only 4 power behind on the board. But as you guys should know, in the Thanos Lockjaw, the Killmonger variant will always have a death. And if they choose to play Killmonger on their own terms, then you have to 100% be prepared to play against the dreaded death for basically 0 energy. So how do we prepare against that? Well, it's Dr. Doom is a fairly straightforward play. It's just the most flexible play. Just put 15 power on the board, the most power, and if we play leader this turn, it's gonna be basically a crapshoot. They can play into Los Diablos base, for example. It's better to set up the board and then decide what to do on the final turn. They play Yondu, and then they play Wave. And yeah, this is why you don't leader on turn. Okay. So, suddenly, we're winning in every single lane thanks to Dr. Doom. What would you do in this situation? Well, obviously we have a Kang, so we play it. There are certain times where I decide not to play Kang because they change our plays. But this is one of the situations where you play Kang and you see their play, right? Okay. And what do we know? So what I've noticed with Kang is that it is default behavior to actually change their play. For whatever reason, it's like he didn't have to change his play. He's going to win it's like, I can't put down 12 power in ruins. He doesn't know that though, because Magneto is often played in this deck. But Magneto's is gonna pull the wave, so he can literally play the exact same card in the exact same spots, and I have no way to win. However, we know for whatever reason when you play King, nobody likes to play the same play in the same spots. So what do? We play leader into Los Diablos base, and we win. Yeah. Even when you have the ingredients set up for leader to work, there are going to be situations where you have to guess. Is he going to play in the middle? Is he going to play right? We know he's most certainly probably going to play one on the left. And yeah, this is the part where you set everything right. You still have to be smart about how you play, where you play leader. Leader actually requires a big brain to play him these days. Now, this is Dad Sensei. He's playing Lockjaw Thanos, and this is turn 3. Of course, we're gonna want to play Electro into Murder World. We get the on reveal. It dies, and what do we notice? Let's pause right here. This is turn 3, and he has initiative. We have 0 power on board, and he skipped his turn. This is extremely significant because we know 2 things about Thanos Lockjaw. They want to play their stones into Lockjaw ASAP, so that way they can start cycling stones into drawing more stones. They want to potentially get an early leech off. However, he doesn't play any cards. What can that mean? It can mean 2 things. It can mean that 1, they don't have any stones, but 2, what do you guys think it means? What else does Lockjaw Thanos run that encourages them to float mana? And the answer is Hulk. She-Hulk, exactly. So now we run into this fun thought. Is like, okay, if they're going to play She-Hulk, where do they play it? And are we confident enough that we want to play our ShangChi into the darkness, just hoping for that She-Hulk? And the answer is, for me, I always take that risk. Because first off, more often than not, I'm right. And second off, there were 2 scenarios where they were going to skip their turn, and the odds that they don't have another stone to play, or any other card to play, like even a Quintjet or whatever, it's not very high. So just based off the probability itself, we know that he probably skipped his turn because of She-Hulk plan. Now, normally when there's 3 lanes, it's very hard to predict where ShangChi has to be, he's swinging into the darkness. However, do we think that they're ever going to play She-Hulk into Lockjaw? Never, right? So that eliminates this 3rd location. And what else is that this is turn 4. Bifrost is going to shift everything from Murder World to Bifrost. And so this actually eliminates the majority of time that She-Hulk is going to be played into Murder World. When we see all these together, then we know very likely that if everything we've predicted so far is correct, then the 1 lane that they're going to play She-Hulk is going to be Sacred Timeline. By the way, I was deliberating whether or not to kill our Electro, because 2 power is still 2 power, and oftentimes in Sandman ramp you don't get to play 2 cards at once anyway. But here you can see we are able to play Sunspot and ShangChi. This is going to be important later. But anyways, we guess blindly into the darkness and we swing. And when I see this, I'm like, oh yeah. I saw the face down cards, I was like, yeah, that's totally a She-Hulk. However, the game is not over. It's far from over. And this is why Thanos Lockjaw is so incredibly powerful. You make these incredible outplays. And they play, we removed their She-Hulk, right? But for 1 stone, they threw into Lockjaw and they got 9 power here. So we're still far, far behind. However, alright, what's next? What's next is this is turn 5. And we have to think about the various different combinations of cards that they can play. Turn 5 for Lockjaw Thanos is big, right? What are the turn 5 plays that they want to play? There's 2 of them. They want to play Leech into Lockjaw, or they play Dino. Now, what else can they play. They can also play a lot of stones in the Bifrost, if in case they don't have either, in case the deck doesn't run Dinosaur, in case they don't have Leech in their hand. And I decide to make a very, very calculated play. I decide that, first off, I have 6 mana, but I don't really feel confident in playing any of my cards. Like, what do? I play Arrow into Sacred Timeline and drag stones over? No, I'm not dragging anything over. Even though I made that incredible play, I am so far behind that I need to make a gamble. And this is exactly why I have Jubilee in the deck. Whenever there's a card that you need, that you don't have in your hand, and you know exactly how you need your win condition is, you're missing it. Jubilee is that shot in the darkness to hit your Doctor Doom or Leader. And specifically here, even though Doctor Doom is okay, I recognize that Doctor Doom is probably not good enough. I'm basically hoping for my Leader to get pulled from Jubilee. So I play Jubilee into Sacred Timeline, hoping for a Leader, and hoping for some magic to happen that they play into the middle, and we're like, first step, we got lucky. We predicted correctly for the Dinosaur. Second step, we did play Jubilee, and we get our freaking Leader. We got our Leader. We were able to copy our Dinosaur. And I'm so elated at this point that I realized, by the way, I'm like, okay, ShangChi, he's got his, he's like the one-punch man, right? Destroy the biggest thing. But no, actually, he's a two-punch man. We're just gonna play Odin into ShangChi and just, bam, knock that that big fat dino off the face of the earth. What I actually, of course, this is winning. What I didn't actually realize though was that I actually made a small mistake. Actually, it's a pretty big mistake. I should have just played Odin in Sacred Timeline. But anyways, that's the big brain play. 10 out of 10 Leader, ShangChi, Odin, Jubilee. This is like everything that the deck has been built for has been successfully executed. Incredibly good play. So I played Kang. Let's see what the board resets to. We see that he played 2 cards in the raft. Thanks for the follow, Nuramo. So is Kang the best card in the game? Absolutely not. I can play him in every deck. I definitely feel the downsides. But I mentioned that to people that I like playing Kang because I love torturing people, like psychological torture. Is so fun to me that I will play Kang over something like the weakest card in the deck. So like in the Dr. Junk deck, I got rid of Viper, and I'll play Kang. But more often than not, the most often scenario that happens when you have Kang in your hand is that you Kang snap, but they're so far ahead that it doesn't even matter. They never retreat. Or they have like Thanos Lockjaw and they've leached your Kang. I'm like, wow, Kang, if it was Black Widow, would be so much better in this situation. Okay, so the fact it costs a slot in your deck is a pretty huge cost. And if you're an experienced player, you often don't need to play Kang to win or to know you should retreat. But in those 1 in 10 games where he is in your hand and it makes a difference, it is really satisfying. And I'd rather have those satisfying moments. Alright, so I don't actually know what's behind the Dark Dimension. It might be I think it might be a Ebony Maw. Oh right, this is definitely a Leader highlight. Definitely a Leader highlight. So this is literally the ingredients for Leader. You're losing in 1 lane, you're winning in two lanes, and you play Leader in the lane that you're losing. It does only copies in 1 location these days, but this is basically Leader locking down the game. And he decides to play 2 cards, Doctor Doom and Arrow. I'll call this an average leader game. Leader 5.